Hi guys, so this is going to be a review that's going to help you with today's assignment. So today you're going to be working on a review on the Pythagorean theorem. Now I know yesterday we started reflections, but I want to be able to work on that with you guys. So that's the reason why I chose just a review for today. And it's going to be specifically on Pythagorean theorem. Now remember that Pythagorean theorem is something that we use whenever we're looking for a missing side of a right triangle. I see right here that I have a right triangle and I also have a missing side. I don't know that side length. So let's go ahead and remember, what is the Pythagorean theorem? Now, if you look in your formula chart and you find Pythagorean theorem, there is a formula for this that says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, in this formula, a, b, and c are values that represent the side lengths of a right triangle, but specifically the value of c must always be the longest side of any right triangle. And the way that I locate the longest side of a right triangle, it is always located across from the 90-degree angle, and that longest side, we call that one a hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is the one that we always must label as the value of c. The other two are the short sides of the right triangle, and we can go ahead and label those as A and B. And it really doesn't matter which one we label A and which one we label B, because they're both the short sides. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose to label that one A, and this one over here is going to be the B. But remember, they could have been switched around. The only thing that I cannot switch around is that value of C. Always has to be the longest side. All right, so now that we have these labeled right here, my goal is to find the missing side, which is the longest side in this case. So let's go ahead and use our formula by plugging in the values. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in a 5 for A, so 5 squared plus, and we're going to plug in an 11 for B. 11 squared equals C squared. We don't know that one, so I'm going to leave it as C. Let's go ahead and do our math. Remember that 5 squared means 5 times 5, so that's going to give me a 25. Copy down your plus. 11 squared means 11 times 11, so that's going to give me a 121 equals, and then we still do not know the value of C. Now, according to my formula, there's a plus in between these two values. That means I need to go ahead and add them up. And when I do add them up, I'm going to get 146 equals C squared. All right, so now my goal is to find the value of C. I don't want to know the value of C squared. I want to know the value of just C. Now, if I want to know the value of just C, that means that I'm looking for a number that times itself will give me 146. In order for me to find that value, I would have to do the square root of this number right here. So when we're using the Pythagorean theorem and we're looking for that missing side, our final step is always to go ahead and find that square root so that we can find exactly the value of C. Now, this is something we're going to have to go ahead and go to our calculator for. So if we go to our page in Schoology, we're going to go ahead and go down to our calculator option right here. And we're going to open up that calculator, and I'm going to show you how in this calculator we can go ahead and find the square root function. So in this calculator, there's a square root function that is kind of small, and it's in blue, and it's at the top. So it's kind of like using the shift function in our computer. But we're going to have to click the blue button and then this one right here and then type in our 146. Enter. We get a long irrational number, so we're going to have to round on this one. So I'm going to copy down a few digits that I have right here, and I'm going to choose to round to the nearest tenth on this, okay? So let's copy down 12.083. So we did our square root, and we're going to get approximately 12.083. Now this goes on and on and on. So we're going to go ahead and round. Now I'm going to ask us today to go ahead and round to the nearest 10th place value. The 10th is one digit after the decimal, so I'm going to look to the neighbor over to the right, and I know that it's going to make me round up. So instead of writing a 12.0, I'm going to round it up to a 12.1. And that's only just an approximation. So this is approximately the value of C right here. So there we go. We found that missing side that we were looking for, and we are done. We were measuring in feet, so this is approximately 12.1 feet. Now it makes sense. We said this had to be the longest side. and it did turn out to be the longest side. Okay, so let's go ahead and try one more. So once again, I have a right triangle and I have a missing side. So because I have a right triangle and I have a missing side, I know I'm going to go ahead and use my Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now I look at my diagram right here, and the first thing I do is draw an arrow that points away from the 90-degree angle. By doing so, I am finding the hypotenuse, the longest side. And according to our formula, the longest side must always be labeled c. So in this case, we actually know the value of c. On the first example, we didn't know the value of c. And so if I look at the missing side, one of the short sides is the one that I'm missing right now. And it doesn't matter the way that I label these, but they are short sides. So one of them is going to be A, one of them is going to be B, but the longest side always has to be C, and it's always located across from the 90-degree angle. Okay, so now because we're missing one of the short sides, we might have to do something different on this one, but the formula is still the same. So let's go ahead and plug in the numbers. We're going to go ahead and say 12 squared because that's our A value. We don't know B, so let's just go ahead and copy down. We do know C, that is 12, so 12 squared. Let's go ahead and do the math. 10 times 10, that's going to give us 100. Copy down your plus, copy down your B squared, we don't know it yet, equals 12 times 12, that's going to be 144. Now this is where it looks different from what we had before, because do I have two numbers to add up right there? No, I don't. So because I don't have two numbers to add up right there, I'm going to have to do something different. Now remember, I know that these two values should add up to equal 140. So if they both have to add up to equal 140, I can go ahead and solve this by getting rid of that 100 and isolating the b. So how do I get rid of that 100? I'm going to go ahead and subtract 100 to both sides. Now I should probably erase this little line right here because I don't want it to look like a division. Okay, so by doing this, I'm going to cancel that out, bring this down. I have b squared equals, and then I do my math right here, and that's going to give me 44. Now remember, this is the value of b squared. I'm interested in knowing just b, so this is the part in which I have to go ahead and do the square root in order for us to go ahead and find just the value of b. So we're going to go back to our calculator. Let's go ahead and clear this. And once again, I need the square root function. So I'm going to press blue key and this key that has a little square root there. And we're going to type in our 44, enter. Now once again, we need a lot of digits because this is irrational. So we're going to have to round again. Let's write a few digits. 6.6332. Okay, so I already chose to round to the nearest 10, so this is my 10th place value. Now according to the neighbor is a 3, that's going to make it rest. In other words, I do not round up this time. I go ahead and keep it just to 6.6. So I'm going to say B is approximately 6.6, and that is going to be my final answer for my value of B. Now if I go back to my picture, that would be the length of this side length that I didn't know, and we were measuring in centimeters, so that's going to be approximately 6.6 centimeters. All right, so this was a short little review. Now you're ready to go ahead and go on to your assignment in Schoology. So let's go ahead and go back to Schoology, and let's go ahead and find that assignment that I posted for you guys to work on. So we're going to go to week 3 of quarter 4. All right, so notice how you have your assignment here. Actually, let me go ahead and switch that around. Notice how you have your assignment here, and then you have a picture of my work over there. So let's go ahead and open up that assignment. Now for you, you have an option to open up your document up there. So go ahead and open up your document. And you're going to go ahead and do your work on here. Okay, so for number 1, you have a triangle, a right triangle, and you're looking for that missing side. Now you're going to type in your answer right here, and as you type in your answers, you're going to start seeing a picture show up, and that picture is going to reveal. Now if you are getting your answers correct, you're going to show the number, and it's going to show some picture filled in. If you get it incorrect, the box is going to turn red, so you should try it one more time. Now, I am asking you to insert a picture of your work, so make sure that you're doing your work on a separate sheet of paper and you are uploading your work. Oops. And that you are uploading your work under right here where it says picture of my work. Okay, so let's go ahead and do one of these together. So let's look at number 1. We have a right triangle, we're missing that side length, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a triangle right here. This is number 1, and if I look at my triangle, I have a 12 and a 9 and one that is missing. So 12, oops, let me go ahead and do this. 12, 9, I have a 90-degree angle right there, and I have this missing side right there. So I'm going to go ahead and write down a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now remember that I'm always pointing at the longest side, which should be labeled C. So in this case, I am looking for the longest side. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug in our values. So these two, remember, can be our short side. So I'm going to label that one A, this one's B. So I'm going to go ahead and say 12 squared plus 9 squared equals C squared. 12 times 12, that's going to give me 144, plus 9 times 9, that's going to give me 81, equals C squared. Now look at your setup right here. This is a case in which you do have two numbers to add, so we're going to have to go ahead and add those up. So 144 plus 81, how much is that going to give us? That's going to give us 225 equals C squared. Now this is our final step. We want to know just the value of C, so we're going to do the square root of 225 equals C, and we're going to type that into our calculator. So square root of 225, enter, and this time we get exact number. So exactly 15. So that's it, we are done. That is our missing side length of the right triangle. So let's go ahead and go to our assignment. We're going to type in 15. And let's see what happens. Ah, we got this right because I see a little bit of the picture showing up. So by the time that you finish all the way to number 10, you should get the entire picture filled up and you should reveal the picture. All right? All right, so make sure that you're doing your work on a separate sheet of paper. You're uploading your picture of your work. And if you're done early, then you work on Alex. Okay? Bye, guys.